Okay, so we're back here again. This time we're on the DK2 Plus. Our last session was on the DK2. The Plus is got the same 2 inches of travel. It's got the same solid steel pistons, the CNC'd aluminum housings, and a very high side load, which is an intentional design to make it future compatible with other degrees of freedom or whatever kind of stress you want to put on the actuator. But the DK2 Plus has a much larger motor, not only a large frame size, but more torque. And so this video is going to be in the same car as we did last time, which is the Mazda Miata NA on the Nurburgring, except this time we're going to see, or I'll try to discuss some of the differences that I feel between the DK2 and the DK2 Plus. Okay, so let's just get going right away, not waste too much time. Right away, the thing I'm picking up right away is obviously the engine vibration. So we definitely have good engine vibration in the DK2, but in the DK2 Plus, it's definitely more pronounced. Now our settings are about 20 out of 100 for the intensity, and we have an 80-20 split, so 80% of the vibrations coming from the front and 20 from the back, and I definitely feel that in the pedals, in the frame, and the seat. Feel the full range. Can definitely not only hear but feel where I am in that range. So let's just do a couple laps, give this a try, have some fun with this car. It's a slow, fast, fun car, if that makes any sense. And let's see what we feel. So right away, again, the vibration definitely feels more pronounced. It's also because a bigger motor can produce more torque. So it's as spiky or it's as immediate as the DK2, but the change of direction after that, especially with a heavier person, heavier chassis, is definitely more pronounced, or it's more achievable. You can achieve these positions much more accurately because of the larger motor. So let's give it a try. So first gear, right away I feel the road texture. I feel the environmental layer right there, going up the hill. Even on the shift, you felt the little bounce of the car, which you will feel with soft suspension and soft tire walls. I'm assuming this is running on 14s or 15s, probably 14s, which is more than enough for this car with the power that it has. Nice slide, good vibrations. I mean, I have visuals everywhere in terms of RPMs here, 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 but being able to not focus on those gauges and be able to just feel it is nice. There, the wheel hit the curb, so I can feel it just slide up and then just drop off. So again, similar to the DK2, the benefits of motion is that even there, you can not only see but feel what the car is doing and how it's doing it. And just like I said in the DK2 video, the way that's accomplished is, firstly, we need to make sure that good understeer. The understeer feels great in this car. The way it's accomplished is, first, we have to make sure that whoever models the track, whether it's laser scanned and then added to, has the necessary detail, like I feel here with all the different grit to the track, all these different undulations and ups and downs. I'm definitely feeling in the environmental layer. Every time I turn like that, I can feel the roll. And then every time I hit a curb, that's our road texture layer. Again, very well defined. Can definitely feel everything. I had to switch to 5th gear here so you can feel this step, which I can. And it's pretty cool. There's like a little line there. You feel it. I mentioned this in the previous video too. You feel that in both iRacing and in Assetto Corsa. It's kind of like a little step. You can use it as a marker for braking points or whatever, but you definitely feel the first wheels hit it, and then the front wheels rather, and then the rear wheels. Again, excellent environmental layer. You can feel the car go into the dips here. Up gear. And very immediate. So as soon as we hit these curves, we feel everything precisely. Just a fun car. I feel the shifts as well. And the shifts right now are embedded in our pitch layer, but we have listened to the community and I think they are right. We're gonna separate that out so you can actually adjust the shift layer for different cars. Cars like this, it's obviously that the shifts are not as intense, everything's kind of softened up. But on some of the faster cars, you can definitely have a bit too much of the jolt or the sudden punch of a shift. And again, this car is just so predictable. It's slow, but it's fun. Any kind of off throttle churn in is great. And when you want it to stop, assuming you timed it properly, just give it a bit of throttle and the car will try to push out. Not a lot of power. Again, engine vibration. I know we're at the limit there. It's a second gear turn. Went too wide there, but we're driving and talking. We're not focusing. Let's try a bit off-road here. So right away you feel the off-road portion. And similarly, like I said in DK2 video prior to this, the off-road areas of Assetto Corsa are not modeled precisely. So that's why you always have this up and down motion, because it's just a sinusoidal wave that they model. That's what they tell the suspension. So that's kind of what gives you the visual, right? But also in terms of motion, you feel the sinusoidal wave. It's not like you feel the grit of the off-road texture. And this is for efficiency reasons. If they were to model every single polygon that's on the outside of the track, the game would load longer and just be much more heavier than it needs to be. And again, our motion system will kind of pick up whatever's in the track, right? So we don't do any of the effects. We do a lot of the just grabbing the data as quickly as possible from the game, putting it into our embedded controller where it gets processed in real time and it goes directly and quickly, very quickly, in the milliseconds, microseconds into the motors for feedback. Again, DK2 Plus, not much difference in terms of, like, for example, going up this hill, because that's our environmental layer, so I can feel it going up. But all the other layers are much more defined. So imagine the DK2 is a peak, the DK2 Plus is a peak, and then it's able to match the next position quite well. It's definitely got more oomph, and that's just a bigger motor. So a bigger motor is able to do more work. And there's a lot of work involved in the change of direction. So it's one thing to just go from point A to point B. So that's pretty cool. I pitch down, I change gears, and the car let go a little bit. Too low of a gear. Nice little step up there. But the bigger motor, what I was saying before, is much better able to represent the dynamic nature of driving a vehicle, of racing. Like here, again, very dynamic, lots of high frequency motion as the wheels are bouncing up and down individually. We're also banking. All that's being picked up. Great engine vibration here. Feel it going up the hill. Struggling a little bit. The little inline 4 NA. Light car though, I think it's 2,300 pounds or something. Probably lighter. Nice understeer up to the curb. Feel the curb. So with the DK2, the curbs are very defined. But with the DK2 Plus, they're not only defined, but if there's a rumble on it, like there, for example, it really comes through. It almost feels like the tires bending and molding to the curb. You can definitely almost feel that deformation, which is kind of hard to say, but that step off was nice too fast here, but we'll get into the grass. Oh, those are impacts. So we're going to do all the testing here. maybe it went a little bit too wide. Could have kept it on the grass more and saved that, but I'm not really focusing now. Yeah, so again, knowing exactly where the car is, what it's doing. Definitely, the DK2 Plus has a bit more attitude. This is a fun little dip. Again, hitting all the curbs. If we're in a faster car that's stiffer, would not be doing that. It does unsettle the car. Here you can just kind of rally these a little bit or go off road. Not so many texture, not so much rumble strip there. You can hear it, but I think they didn't model in the polys there to give us the feel of what's actually there. Whereas there, you do feel it. Come back off. This is the other bowl here. Come out of it. And we'll be completing our lap now. And this is the other part too, is although the environment layer is the same between the two systems, it's interesting what happens if you play with and without motion. If you play with motion for a while, you get adapted to it, you start relying on it for motion cues or for feedback. And then when you turn it off, it's kind of like not wearing your watch after you've worn your watch for like a year. It just feels different, it feels odd. Even like something like this, where you're driving on the road, if your suspension's too tight here, you'd pick up a lot more. The suspension's very soft, even at 173 kilometers an hour, just over 100 miles an hour. You can tell this car has soft tires, soft suspension, and it's not so jarring. When we played with one of the Porsches here, race Porsches, 996, we tried. Again, the DK2 and the DK2 Plus is able to represent the stiffer suspension, the stiffer tires, and the stiffer car. Even aero, you can definitely feel more aero as the car squats more or sits down more at speed. Downforce. Oh. Let's see if we go back off. Again, you can feel the front right, and the back right, and then the front left, and then finally the rear left come off at different times. And what's our lap time here? 10:26. That's our last lap time. Okay, let's just do one more lap. Let's focus in a bit more on this one. And again, the difference is subtle, but for some people may be noticeable. For those that already have a DK2, all the detail there, it's 80% there. In terms of comparing it to the DK2 Plus, just the DK2 Plus, again, just because it's a larger motor, it's able to have a more defined change of direction. Because these actuators are always trying to reach certain positions in hard real time, which is actually an interesting problem from a mechanical, electromechanical, even programming perspective. A lot of these servos that people use that are designed for CNCs, these are non-real-time applications, meaning that the servo has to go here, stop there, make a cut, go back. It's defined, and certain companies will actually have an algorithm within the servo that will reduce things like vibrations and other things like that natively. And what we want to do is we want to do the opposite. We want raw control of the motor. We want to introduce vibrations in real time. And so it's almost like you have an opposite use for some of these motion systems. Again, felt that little cut in the concrete there or whatever it is. Feel it in AC and in iRacing. Second gear. Tail should come up nicely. Yeah. This will be the final lap. And I guess the other analogy I can use the DK2 Plus feels almost like a stiffer chassis versus a more malleable chassis. I know we're in the Miata, and the Miata is not known for its chassis strength. It's a convertible, so it doesn't have that chassis strength. But the definition could be kind of like driving a convertible versus driving a hardtop. The hardtop's always going to have more structural rigidity because it's fully closed in, and so when you hit a bump with a like a fully caged car or a car with a proper roof on it, you definitely have the structural rigidity. You kind of feel everything a little bit more. Whereas with a convertible, because the chassis is typically more prone to flex, everything kind of feels more, even with the reinforcements that they put in and all their, like the X-Frame technology that S2Ks talk about, or Lambos or Lamborghini convertibles adding more material to make it stiffer over time. Even if it's stiff and it's got more stress loads on it, so it's going to relax. And the first thing you notice with convertibles have been, I guess not all, but some convertibles have been tracked for a while, is like the doors, the clearances change on the doors and the body panels and things like that. Especially if they're just street stock cars like this, because of course you're adding a lot of stress onto the chassis. And so the similarity here is with the DK2 Plus, it almost feels like you're got a stiffer chassis because everything's so much more pronounced. How much more? To be objective, like 20 or 30% more pronounced, based on my subjective opinion. Not even here, feeling the vibrations going over the crest and now coming out of it, and then feeling all the changes that the programmer put into the road. Feels great. Taking it a bit slow here. And it's going to be quite a climb for this little car up this hill. And it's pretty amazing, especially when you can actually feel and see, and hopefully you guys can as well in the video, how well the motion is following what we have on the screen. That little hit there. That there was pretty cool. Again, you can feel the wheel step off, and it's almost like when it steps off of the DK2, you feel it steps off. The DK2 Plus, and almost like you feel it step off and dampen with the rubber and the suspension a bit more than the DK2. So it's just that extra edge. So with the DK2, we did 2 laps. We did 3 laps with the DK2. We're just going to do 3 laps. We did 3 laps with the DK2. We're just going to do 2 laps with the DK2 Plus, because a lot of the elements are kind of the same that we talked about. Understeer with it. Oversteer exit. Yeah. Slow, fun car. Comes the bowl. We feel the dip. And definitely a lot more detail here in the bowl. Definitely in the wrong gear too. And the EV layer we just added, which is engine vibration, definitely adds that haptic feeling to the whole experience now. It took us a while to work on EV. We didn't just want to do what everybody else has done or make it just an effect. So we did research on what engine vibration really is, how it's felt. Does it come through the pedals? Does it come through the seat? Does it matter where the engine is? What vibrations do we feel? Where did the vibrations come from? And what's the best way to represent them? Again, months of research, implementation, trial and error, testing. Love the vibrations there. You can definitely tell that they modeled in the rumble strips there. Very pronounced. Ooh. Back down. Coming over the crest. Yeah, it's like all the layers, an exception of maybe the pitch and the roll. I would say all the layers except two feel about 20 or 30% more defined. So the roll and the environment layer is definitely very similar. If not, it's exactly the same to DK2. The pitch feels a little bit more defined. So if I hit the brakes here, for example, let's just give it a little tap. Just feels more smoother. The road vibrations feel more definite, or more defined rather. Bouncing off like that feels good. So that's our road texture, your suspension. And then the EV or the engine vibration also just resonates a lot more through the chassis. We just have more torque to represent that. And we also hit a higher frequency with the DK2 Plus over the DK2 for the simple nature of having a bigger motor, a more expensive motor too. And here we are. So we'll wait to get over the finish line to get a time. Should be probably another 10 minutes, 20 seconds. And we'll end the video there. Let's get a time. Fourth gear, 170 kilometers an hour, just over 105 miles an hour. And slow down going up this hill. I don't think we can put it into third gear without over revving it, so we'll just keep it there. And again, all these little details coming through, very immediate, defined. Wheel comes back down, goes up. Here comes the environmental layer. You can feel it go into the bottom of the dip, come back out, drop down from that curb. Second gear, a bit of a drift. Trail brake into here. And almost 10 minutes flat. So you can definitely get into the 9-minute range if you don't talk, focus, and don't play around. Again, boom. All right. So I hope that concludes the video. Again, the DK2 Plus can handle more weight. It's a much bigger frame of an actuator, but same 2 inches, same piston sides. But the motor frame is larger and it's got more torque. And for that, some of the layers, especially the engine vibration, the road texture, and the heave, definitely shine about 20 or 30% more. There's just a better control of the information that we're getting and being able to reach the desired positions that we want to get to. Both excellent products. I would say this one's better suited for heavier drivers, bigger rigs, definitely sim centers to accommodate different body types, since it does support 800 pounds in total, or 200 pounds per actuator. But yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.